What's up? What's up, everybody? It's your girl MJ. Happy Thursday. I almost said happy Friday, so I want Friday to really be here. It's been a long week. I wanted to share with you guys a pretty cool gift that I received. I think it was for Valentine's Day. Isn't that cool? It's a little cup shaped like a dog, and it's meant for holding like tea. And the little bone inside, it holds the loose leaf tea. I think it's pretty cool. I love this gift. So I like neat cups and stuff like that. So I'm going to do a reading today. But before I do that, I'm going to get into just a little discussion on some of my spiritual experiences that have happened in the past. That way, sharing is caring, and the knowledge that I have based on my experiences. So I wanted to share with you all one of my many spiritual experiences during the past few years. Now, I do recall attending a ceremony with like-minded people. We all identified as being spiritual. We all use plant medicine together, and in addition to that, we did breath work for 1 hour, right? So during the time that we were doing the breath work, and it was very intensive breath work that we were doing, very challenging. I felt this strong desire to jump out of my seat and start dancing. And I also, I was laughing prior to that. So it started off with me just laughing, right? And then I felt this strong desire to jump out of my seat, right? And I started dancing, and it lasted for about a few minutes until somebody may have said to me, because my eyes were closed, somebody may have said to me, make sure you don't fall in that ditch, because there was like a small ditch that was close to where we were sitting. Now, after that ceremony, we had integration, because we did do plant medicine after that, ayahuasca, and we had integration. And at that time, I had no clue why that happened to me. But over the next couple of years, it would start to dawn on me like what could have possibly happened to me. Now, it reminded me, and I'm not saying this is what entered into me, what energy entered into me in my vessel, but it did remind me from my background of when I did identify as a Christian, and I grew up in like many churches, how I recall church members jumping out of their seat, and they would start dancing, and they caught the Holy Ghost. So that's what I thought about, like, my experiences. But from my perspective, it seemed more of like what was deeply rooted in me, which was my ancestors, that energy that was coming through. Because the reason why I was there at that ceremony was to expand more on my mission in life and who I am on a spiritual level. I was looking for guidance. And I just thought that was so bizarre how that happened to me. Now, I do recall that happening one more time, but I was not in a ceremony like setting with others. I was actually by myself. And I was going through a situation where I was, I was like drowning in fear, because I was fighting a lot of different negative energy from like past wounds and whatnot. So what happened to me was I was going through a huge spiritual battle, and there was another strong desire to start dancing. Now, when I was dancing, after I was done dancing, there was this energy of like confidence, inhumane confidence, that how did I go from being extremely frightful to extremely confident, right? So it was time for bed, and um, I was able to go to sleep, and I was able to deal with whatever demons I was battling at that time. So, and like I said, during that time, I didn't really know what was happening, but now I do recall like being filled with my ancestors, and I believe that one of my ancestors uh, was able to shield me and allow me to absorb that confidence, which is ultimately within me. But I was able to activate it at that time, and nothing but the dancing and the energy from my ancestor was able to assist me with activating that. Right, there was nobody that I called to give me encouragement on what I was dealing with. So that is what I believe happened from my own perspective. So another situation that took place with me spiritually, I would say the word I want to use is like pilot mode. There were so many different spiritual experiences that I was having that I was like on pilot mode. I was frightened, but it wasn't enough where I was going to stop doing what I was doing on a spiritual level, because it was a strong desire in me to continue my path, even though I didn't 100% know what my path was going to be. I was just opening up all these spiritual doors to figure out, okay, this doesn't work for me, but this does work for me, and I'm going to keep that, and I'm going to use that in my daily practices after all of this fear subsides here, or is eliminated. It's a better word to use here. So another experience, I did a year of healing through a quantum practitioner. And sometimes I mentioned to you guys before, we use plant medicine to really open up some of the situations where I was like, I put up a brick wall. Even I didn't even know what the issue was. But through like the plant medicine, we was able to, you know, I went into my subconscious to face what I was dealing with, and it was a demon. And I did a video on this a while back. I took that video down. It was on a different page, but I'm gonna put it up. But when I actually confronted this demon, it took me hours. Like, the quantum practitioner I was with, I commend her for the time that she stayed with me, because I believe that session we had was probably like, I want to say 5 to 6 hours. It might have been 6 hours. She stayed with me because when I did the plant medicine and I encountered, and I'm hearing the word usher for some reason, as I'm telling you all this, but when I did the plant medicine, and what happened was I saw a lot of like dark religious figures, like a cross and a lot of dark stuff. And I was telling her, because she was asking me, what did I see? And I was telling her all these things. And she was like, let's fast forward past the religion, because that's too big, where we're not going to really get to the root of that problem. And it was probably not going to, the healing wasn't going to happen in one session. And I get that part of it. So I kind of moved that out of the way, and we got to this demon. And I'm going to add the picture on what this demon looked like. I drew it. I am a horrible driver. Not a driver. Not a horrible driver. To whatever spirit said that, screw you. Light fun. But I am a horrible drawer. Well, I'm a horrible artist. I don't draw at all, unless it's straight lines or I can draw that extremely well, like pictures that require straight lines. But this, it was like a, I get it now. The shape was like of a D, it was of the DNA, right? And the DNA along the DNA strands, there were like a lot of sharp teeth. But imagine this looking like mechanical and huge, where it could like engulf you, and it was moving, and I could feel like the tightness of it. Like it was trying to actually take over, like you know, cover up like my chakra area. And I felt it, and it was like suffocating, and my eyes were closed the entire time, and I was like, oh my God, it's trying to, like, you know, it's trying to destroy me. And that's what I was telling her. And that's when she was like, well, fight, you're gonna have to fight. This was the first time I ever I guess I wasn't realizing that I could fight in my subconscious based on the visuals that I was seeing and the feelings that I was feeling. It was like nothing I've ever experienced in 3D, right? So when I heard that, it was a different ball game, because I stood up for myself and I started, you know, it wasn't really like words I was using. It was more like energy. Like I just started like screaming, like, ah! And what was happening for me was that I was screaming out this energy, which was hitting this demon. And it was to the point where when I stopped, the demon, Isis, she came and she took the demon. She locked up the demon in one of the mini rooms in my head, right? And I was dumbfounded by that, because I was like, why wasn't the demon just like lifted or like sent to like somewhere far away from me? And it wouldn't be until later in life that I realized that I was more in control of this demon. The reason why that demon was still within me and only locked up in one of the doors, because it's 11:11 when I was getting ready to say this part, is because I am in control of how I respond to situations. There's a lot within me. It's gotten a lot better now, but definitely back in the day, I had a lot of issues where I was very confrontational and physically aggressive, verbally aggressive, all those things. That was my background growing up. And my relationships and my marriage and stuff, I had a lot of issues. And those things is what kept this demon locked up. Like, if I want this demon gone, it's going to be me having to get rid of this demon. So me calling on Isis, because I called on her for help. And what happened was she came to relieve me of that energy at that time, because it could be contained. But it's not until I actually combat all of the issues that I have going on through my free will, because I can decide how I want to respond with deep healing. It makes it much easier to do. So I get that now. I didn't get that when it was happening, but I definitely get it now. So that was my situation regarding that. And lastly, I wanted to share that I haven't, I'm not going to really identify her, but there's someone in my life that is extremely important to me. Like, growing up, I looked at her with the most respect, the utmost respect. Even though I didn't show it all the time back then. So the thing is, like, she was always there for us, like, you know, through thick and thin. Like, she had an opportunity to go off and go to college, but she came back to make sure we was all right, because I grew up in a household with a single mother, right? And man, she was amazing, like how she took care of us. And you know, she came back to make sure that we were all right, because she went off to school, to college, and she came back and just frequently checked on us to make sure we had food, clothes, it was challenging time for us. So she made sure that we was good. She cooked for us at a very young age, like she was 12. We were all younger than her. She always made sure we could cook. She always made sure that we could eat, right? And she was amazing. Like the meals that she was taught to prepare for us was amazing. And I really love her with all my heart. And something awful happened to her as an adult. She went through a time where she faced some significant challenges, and she started hallucinating. And when she told me she was seeing things, I was like in disbelief. I didn't know. I had no spiritual experiences like how I've had within the past few years. So I really didn't know how to help her. All I knew was to open my door, for her to be there, and just make sure that she was safe, and to listen to her, like when she would speak, and to show her compassion. And that's exactly what I did. I feel like I owe that to her and more for everything that she had done for us and just my love for her. So I watched her spiritually deteriorate, or it got really bad. And I just felt like I was losing her. And she was fighting a spiritual battle, you know, and it looked like she was losing that battle because she wasn't the same anymore. Like her body was there, but something else was inhabiting her body. That wasn't her, right? And I was so confused by it. And I just felt like I wanted to really go down that spiritual path to figure out if there was something that I could do to help her at that time. And I did a lot of different things. I learned how to access the Akashic records through training. I would take my money and do all these spiritual trainings, learning how to do different things, and looking into different religions, different spiritual practices and stuff like that to see what I could learn. And I remember I had this lucid dream. I think this was one of my first lucid dreams that I had. She was sitting down at a table, and I was looking at her, and I was awake in my dream. And I was like, this is not real. This is a dream, and you're really not really here. And she looked at me and she smiled, and then her body started to vanish away in this black mist, and then I woke up, right? So I just felt like, there was these entities attached to her. And when I was in the Akashic records, I saw these different eyes, and I was specifically there for her. Like, that was my goal. That was my story. I was there to see how I could help, how I could learn how to empower her if I could do anything. And what ended up happening, I just saw these different eyes, like these strange, some of them look like, healthy eyes or positive eyes. Some of them look like negative eyes, right? So I felt like each time I would do something, I would get like a tad bit more, but nothing more to really hit where I was able to really make an impact on how I was going to help her out, right? So what ended up happening was I just distanced myself from a lot of things because I felt like what I wasn't doing wasn't really helping. And so it would be like almost a decade later until I would open up the door to start my spiritual practices again on that deep level, like what I was doing in the past, right? So when I was doing that, it was more so of me meditating. And I recall I got my first piece of Moldavite, and I would hold it and I would meditate with it. And that same year is when I had a revolutionary, life-changing experience where I I saw my spirit team for the first time ever. I have never seen like any spirit team members or whatnot. I would have experiences, but it felt like I was blindly doing a lot of spiritual practices. Like I would do stuff and it would just be me in these spiritual uh like experiences, but it was never like any beings or like a higher power that I could feel that was there to guide me, right? So I take that back. I do recall um uh astral traveling in my living room, and I did see a buck, like a male deer. I did see that. So after this happened, that's when I found the quantum practitioner, and I told her my experiences. And I told her I used to astral travel all the time. I was astral projecting, and I stopped all of that just because I had a lot of negative experiences doing it. And we didn't really we didn't focus on the astral projection at all. It was more so of me going into an in-depth healing that lasted for a year. And during that time, I just had a lot of profound experiences that I will share a lot of it with you all, my journey and what I experienced. And there was one experience where like the importance of owning like a drum, getting a drum and learning how to play it was very heavy in my energy, is what I was feeling. I purchased a drum, and I would play the drum. And one night I stayed up just babbling to my spirit team about what happened to this relative. And I was, just going off on how it wasn't fair, on why that happened to her. She was such a great person. She didn't deserve that. And I was just going off and just talking smack about a lot of stuff and why it ended up the way it was, because we weren't terrible people, right? We just had a rough life, and based on that life, we ended up to be decent. And so I played my drum. I just felt it within me to play my drum. And I ended up going to bed. And it was crazy. I was awakened like at in the wee hours of the night, or in the morning. It was probably like, I don't know, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. And what happened, I felt like something like this. It was this strange feeling like attached to my head. Like it was like an energetic pull, right? And it almost felt like my eyes were closed and the lights were off, and I probably just I fell asleep with a candle lit, right? And I it felt like something like walked close to my bed and then laid in the bed next to me. Now I was just waking up, right? And it was still dark. And I felt this. Then all of a sudden I felt like this euphoric sensation, like all on my head, like going down to my neck area. And it felt like I've never felt anything like that before. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I felt this, and then I reached over and I turned on the light, and then it felt like it was like ripped away, like, and then the whole feeling just left. And then I was thinking, like, was that like a relative or some sort, like, attaching to me, or what? This happened right after I was waking up. So during that time, I know now that a lot of information comes in for us, but that experience was just baffling to me. Now, I had mentioned it to my quantum practitioner, and then she was like, you say no, like, reject it. And then I was like, I did, because I didn't know what was going on, and she was like, that was it. Like, and at the time I wasn't in a comfortable place to really ask her more than what she was going to share with me. So I felt like she knew more, but she didn't. She just said, like, don't do it because it's going to give you like superpowers. And I'm like, superpowers? Like, what the hell is going on? Like, what did I sign up for again? Because I don't remember signing up for this stuff. Like, I decided to go down this rabbit path or this rabbit hole, and it took me down this path of like all these different experiences. And some of the experiences I was getting answers for, and some of them I just didn't have a clue. And nobody was sharing a lot of stuff with me for whatever reason. And I do recall that she did say that we had to be able to come to our own conclusions with some things as well. Now, in addition to playing the drum, it did like initiate some like very vivid dreams. Like if I played a drum at night, I would get these very powerful dreams. And later down in life, I would know that, I am an urban shaman, I don't know why she didn't tell me that, because she will always tell me that, there's something about yourself, and you're gonna, you're just gonna pretty much open up to learn who you are. You just I was initially upset that she didn't share that part with me, because I felt like she could have trained me in that area, because she's a shaman, right? If she's a shaman, I know damn well that, she knows how to train, but she did not. And I don't know why she didn't do that. Maybe there were some things within me, those darker parts that still needed to be addressed. And there will be some things that happen later on in my journey, which could make someone, well, okay, I'm hearing it now. It's practical. She wanted to transform into like practical practice, like more incorporating more Western world use of healing methods instead of traditional from ancient society and how they did things, right? So maybe that was the reason why she never shared, we never really had that conversation today. And we're distant now. We don't talk anymore. So I never really got any answer from her on what took place. It just took some time for me to finally get it through the many dreams and spiritual experiences that I would have. So these are conversations, or this is a conversation I never heard anywhere else, like the birth of a urban shaman. You hear things about shamans that live in villages through National Geographic, but I never heard like an urban shaman open up about their experiences and spoke on it. So I'm here speaking on it. If this resonates with you, if you found out you were, or you are a shaman in the inner city, and you had a journey that you had to figure out a lot of stuff on your own, I definitely can empathize with you. It's not easy, man. I'm in a space now where I feel comfortable and relaxed. I'm healthy, spiritually, where I can talk about it. But that journey to get here, that shit isn't easy. And it just felt like I was on pilot mode the entire time. Like, the reason why I got through that is because of spiritual guidance plus courage. I have always been brave. Even before I really delved into that spiritual side of myself, like the risks that I would take, I just always been brave. I could be frightened to death, but I had courage to do things, right? So, eerie. Yeah. Okay, so I'm not going to share much else because I'm being guided that is eerie. So if you are wanting to learn more about certain experiences, just drop something in the comment section and I'll try to sleep on it and see how I can deliver it in the best way possible that is not eerie. Okay. And that is all regarding that part. Ashe, love you.